Do you feel like short-term rental is a big enough threat to put some hotels out of business, or do you feel like you said earlier, it's enough to go around?
People that will always want to stay in hotels, and then there's a younger generation that will basically they'll see, you know what, hotel's not gonna work for me this time. I'm gonna go with Airbnb because there's a lot of older people like say, I got my points, I'm invested or I'm invested,
Right.
I'm
Right,
staying
right.
here because I'm getting these points. But like I
Right.
said, you got this younger wave of people that are coming in, and those are the ones that are hitting the needle, turning the needle more towards you know Airbnb and the like. So it's here to stay. Is it going to put hotels out of business?
Welcome back, folks, to Hospitality Hacks Pro podcast, where we bring on interesting people in and around culinary arts and hospitality to share their journey in the industry. Today, we have a very special guest, and I'm not going to steal his thunder. I like for my guests, Russell, to introduce themselves. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to give us a good old Russell Hotels commercial. Tell us who you are, where you from, and what do you do in the hospitality space?
Russell Edmond. I go by the name of Russell of Hotels. I'm in Los Angeles, but born and raised in Blythe, California, which is a little small country town on the California-Arizona border. Um, Started in hospitality years ago. Actually went to school, Cal Poly Pomona. Have a degree in hospitality management. Started my career with Marriott as a housekeeping manager and kind of rose through the ranks. Ended up being not all with Marriott, 14 different hotels I worked, but ended up being a general manager and a director of sales and marketing. So I did kind of everything in between, but the roles that I really cherish are the where I started housekeeping as a housekeeping manager, and then where I ended up being a director of sales and marketing, but along the way became a general manager too of one hotel, and then branched off and did my own thing. My company is called Russell of Hotels, where I do consulting, a lot of brand consulting via social media for hotels, tourism brands, food brands, or whatever. Whoever needs help, I'm here to assist. I don't limit it to just hospitality industry. That's what I know, hospitality, of course. So I'm gonna bring that, but everything that I know in social media can be applied to any industry. So that's what I do. So I call myself a hospitality personality now. So I'm a hospitality personality. I have my own hospitality talk show called On Air with Russell of Hotels, where we talk about trends, things that are going on within the hotel or tourism space, and even in the food space, because I am a foodie, but I'm a non-meat eats foodie, which means I am vegan. I have a plant-based diet. Okay, so not a
Mhm.
whole vegan lifestyle, but a plant-based diet. So that's kind of me. And I don't know if that was 30 seconds or 60 seconds, but that's kind
We
of
in
me.
the pocket. We're doing good. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. It's truly an honor and coming to share some wisdom and your journey with us. So let me ask you this: you have a lot of really sounds like in-depth knowledge of the hospitality space. What made you even go there in the first place? Like, what made you say this is something I want to try?
I didn't know, to be honest with you. I didn't have aspirations like say coming out of high school. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I mean, I knew that I wanted to play football, so that was first and foremost. That's why I went to college. I wanted to play football, but of course, even doing that, you had to come up with a major or something, right? So what I did was once I got on the university level, because I started on the junior college level. Once I got on the university level, I started off in the school of business, and I want to say it's called operations management, which was kind of a mixture of engineering and business management. And that wasn't for me. It didn't, I took some classes. I mean, they're okay, but I couldn't like see myself, oh, this is what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. And then from there, went to marketing. I like marketing a little bit, but there was still something missing. And then I heard about this hospitality management, or at that time it was called hotel restaurant management, hotel
Hmm.
restaurant travel management,
Hmm.
HRT. So I said, well, let me try one of these classes just to see what it's about, because I didn't know anything about it. I never worked in a restaurant at that point, or didn't know much about hotels other than I did stay in a couple growing up. So I took a class, and the first class was it was Intro to Hospitality Management, and it was basically food related. It was all the whole class was, the professor talked about McDonald's and, Behind the Golden Arches and all that kind of stuff. So we had to read the book Behind the Golden Arches and just learn about Ray Kroc, his journey to, how he basically took McDonald's from the McDonald's. But I mean, that's yeah. It was kind of gangster, if you will.
Yeah.
But it was interesting, the whole, how they came up with the concept of McDonald's and how they, hit the families first, get the kids involved, and then the families will come with them, or the parents going to have to, because, they appealed to kids. And it was just the whole concept behind the scenes, how they did things, and they kept things simple, the fries and all that kind of stuff, fries, burger, whatever. And, just the whole thing with that. And then I just said that was kind of interesting. So I started taking more classes after that. And then eventually I knew I wanted the hotel part of it. And eventually some hotel classes came. And it was just intriguing. I love that part of it. I love the marketing part of it. And then just kind of from there, just kind of next thing I know, it was time for me to get out. You know what I mean? And we had done some food and beverage. The last thing I did, I remember, it was a project. It was this one, I can't remember, it was a senior related class right before you graduated. And we did this whole entire food and beverage series, or we revamped a food and beverage operation at a hotel, at a full service Sheraton at LAX. And that was the most, first of all, it was intriguing to do it. And it was in depth. I mean, we had to buy in from all the like the HR director, the food and beverage director, the general manager, the director of sales. I mean, everybody, we had buy-ins from everyone, because they wanted to see what these students could come up with as a new concept for a restaurant inside their hotel. Because they had this old, it was a disco at one time. Back in the 70s, it was a disco. Now, this was in the 80s, okay? So this place, I wasn't back in the 70s, okay? It was in the 80s. So, but they hadn't utilized this space in a long time. And I remember going into this space, and it had the disco pillows, like fluffy couches and all this kind of stuff. I mean, straight out of Saturday Night Fever, right? And said, wow, this is something else. But we came up with a sushi concept, because sushi wasn't as big then as it is now. Okay. So it was something that was new to the scene, and definitely not at an airport property. So we came up with a sushi and raw bar, and they loved it. And the thing that the important part of this story is that they actually took that concept and used it. Okay, there's one thing, it was a class. Okay, it was a class. We got graded on it. We had to present it, all this kind of stuff. But they actually took our concept and they used it. And they used it up for like 20 years until they finally closed it and redid something else with it. And that was probably early 2000s when they did that. So, so it was good, because I would go back to that hotel and say, you know what, I did a food and beverage thing here. People were like, yeah, right. And I said, yeah, this restaurant used to be called Zeno's. And how I still remember that, I have no idea, because it's been at least 30 years. Okay. So, and I would bring this stuff up, and they said, God, and then a lot of the old people that worked there forever, they remember it being Zeno's. They said, oh, he knows what he's talking about, because it was called Zeno's at one time. So, but yeah, so that was fun. But I need to transition from the food and beverage part to the sales part, because I knew I always wanted to get into sales. It's just that I didn't know at what part I was going to get into. But what happened was I got kind of a challenge. After that food and beverage presentation that we did, I got a job offer to be a sales manager at a property, at a Sheraton in New Orleans. And I turned it down to go with Marriott, because Marriott gave me more opportunities to start at the ground level and learn a hotel. Because at that point, I never even worked at a hotel other than the food and beverage thing that we did. That wasn't a job, that was a class, right? So we got exposed to the entire hotel operation, but I never worked there. So I said, well, I can't go into a hotel as a sales manager and not even know how one department relates to the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I turned down that Sheraton job. And plus, I never been out of California at that time, so I wasn't going to even consider going to New Orleans. But I turned down that job and took the job with Courtyard Marriott. That's when I
Mm-hmm.
started off as a housekeeping manager. So I kind of got that operations background before I got into sales. So, I mean, that was important to me, that you know exactly what you're selling. You know, what is the product or the service that I'm selling? And I
Mm-hmm.
needed that before I could, move on to sales, which I did.
Man, interesting part of the journey there. So it's important to you to get those foundational operational pieces in place before you went on into the sales, and that's so smart. That's so smart. I like that. I like that a lot. So take me now to, so now if I understand correctly, you're in the consulting seat, right? You're helping with site selections, things of that nature. Is that
That's what I do
still
now. Correct.
okay? So how do we get to that piece? Take me to that part of the journey.
Well, okay. As a director of sales that I ended up being, I mean, I did sales. First of all, okay, my operation experience was about 7 years. Okay, and then from there, I went into sales as a sales manager, and then from there, just kind of, from a sales manager to, I think I was in sales as a sales manager for about 3 years, and then got promoted at another hotel to be a director of sales. And then from there, as a director of sales, you're interacting with a lot of meeting planners and things like that. People on the other side, if you will, people that you're planning for, they come in here, oh, we need a group of rooms for this meeting. We need the meeting space. We need the food, the beverage. We need all this kind of stuff. And okay, we had to put that stuff together on our end, on the hotel end. But I was always intrigued about how they did it on their end, meaning the end of the meeting planner. And I said, you know what, if I ever, got tired of doing this on this end, the hotel part, I would love to be a meeting planner. So let me fast forward, probably, 10, 15 years, when now I'm tired of being, now I'm actually tired of being on this side. I said, well, let me try something else. Because, one thing about being a director of sales and marketing and a general manager, I mean, the buck stops with you. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. Sometimes you can get to the point like, if I'm gonna bust my butt, I'm gonna bust my butt for myself, for my own company and things like that. So I got to that point where I said, you know what, enough's enough. Unrealistic. I'm tired of unrealistic goals and unrealistic expectations. I can bust my butt for myself. So that's what I did. I said, you know what, I'm gonna start. In fact, I started as I said, I'm gonna be a meeting planner. So, and it's funny, you think the clients, the clients that you had as a director of sales, you think they're going to come with you, and a lot of times they don't come with you. Okay, so basically, I had to start from square one. I didn't have any clients, but I knew what I wanted to do, and I just put it out there that this is what I was doing, and I got some clients and things like that, and just started doing meetings for clients, and that's how it all started. So then Russell of Hotels came. I was still doing other consulting though. That was before the social media consulting though. I was doing task force general manager and task force director of sales and marketing as well. So what that entails is, a hotel, let's say they're between a director of sales and marketing, maybe one left for whatever reason, or maybe one's, they're on a leave of absence. So they need someone to fill that spot. So they would, hire me or contract me for a period of time. I mean, an assignment can go from, 2 weeks to 6 months. You know what I mean? So it just depends. So I would go in and fill in for that director of sales and marketing, making sure, the sales ship was still righted, things were still going on, contracts are still going out, we're still, making money or still talking to clients or whatever. And then, so I was still on that side. I mean, I was a contractor, but I would, I knew there was an expiration date, right? So that was different from working in the hotel, being responsible for that all the time. I knew what my expiration date was. I knew on May 5th, I was going to be done. Right? I was walking away from that and maybe going into another one. So, so I did those three things. So I did, then I called myself, I didn't want to say I was a meeting planner anymore, because I wasn't planning the meetings. I was more assisting the meeting planner with hotel site selection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's where that hotel site selection comes in.
Got
So
you.
I assist the meeting planner with finding the site for their next meeting. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of meeting planners don't have time to do all the work. They may be concentrating more on the content of the meeting and dealing with, the company, bureaucracy and all that kind of stuff. Where I just assist them with, okay, we're looking at these 3 cities. So my job is to source those cities with do a request for proposal, an RFP, and I can send it. I have a platform that I can send it to multiple hotels at one time instead of calling each one or emailing each one. Especially if you don't even have a contact at that hotel, it's hard to find a contact. So that's when you develop partnerships or relationships with like convention and visitors bureaus, with hotel people as well. And then that way, that where you can send that lead to, and it's going to get to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do more of that now. That I don't do the task force anymore. The task force stuff was kind of a filler, say several years ago. So I haven't done a task force assignment since right before the pandemic. So now it's more what I do is like I said, is the hotel site selection, the what's the other thing that I do? Dang, I can't even, content creating for social media for different hotels and things like that, and even for my own brand, because I need people to know what I do, right? So that's why I have a presence on social media, and then I'm a hospitality personality, which I have the podcast, and I spend not a lot of time, but I spend enough time on that as well.
Okay, so you're helping with site selection for events and different things happening. We've got the podcast going. We've got you can step in to help with sales and marketing as needed as a consultant. I mean, this man, you leaving any money on the table for anybody else? We getting it.
Well, there's enough money to go around. I tell
There's
you
enough
that,
to go around. Okay.
and I wish a lot of it was in my pocket, but it's not. I have time to talk to you, so I must not,
All right.
be there.
Okay. Okay. We
But
all
no,
around. I
it's
like it.
exactly in order for me to stay off property, meaning I don't have aspirations of going back and working on on a
Mm-hmm.
property, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me not to do that, I have to do multiple things. And a lot of
Gotcha.
people that are, trying to get into this hospitality entrepreneur journey, they may find themselves in that same boat where like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, one thing is not going to sustain so you have to do multiple things. So I do multiple things, but they all happen to be in the same space. Just maybe different things, but just in the same space. So I still have that. I can still get fulfilled. I'm still in the hospitality industry, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
more on the supporting end. You know what I mean? I'm not in the day-to-day operations of what happens with a hotel.
I think that's really powerful because you hear people say that terminology like you need multiple streams of income, you need multiple streams, you need multiple streams. And sometimes I fell into the trap, even personally, as a very young entrepreneur, thinking I have to do a whole lot of different things in a whole lot of different areas. But you really can like focus down on your niche, your area of expertise, and have the multiple streams
Exactly.
in your area. So
Yes.
that's super powerful. That's super
Yes.
powerful.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm about to shift gears completely. I want
Okay.
your opinion on something. Okay. I want your opinion on something. As somebody who's well versed in the hotel space, talk to me about your
Mhm.
feelings about this Airbnb situation. Not Airbnb specifically, but short term rental. Have you ever stayed in an Airbnb before?
Yeah, I stayed in one. To be honest with
Okay.
you, I'm not a big proponent of Airbnb. I never
Okay.
have been. But a situation came up where it was the best deal for us to take. It was more of a
Mm-hmm.
family thing, so I just basically said, okay, let's do it because. And I'll give you the example why we used it. My daughter was graduating from college, and she had people coming, and it was cheaper for us to rent a house, a 5-bedroom house, than it would be to rent 5 rooms at a hotel or to
Mm-hmm.
reserve 5 rooms at a hotel. So
Right.
it became cost effective, and the house was beautiful. It had a pool, had a pool table, whole billiards room and a living room, family room. I mean, it was in a gourmet kitchen. So it made sense to do that. But the reason why I was not a fan, or still not really a fan of Airbnb, is because it's easy for the people to own them to discriminate, and because they see who's coming in, and they have a thing where they can cancel up to the day that you're supposed to arrive.
True.
You know, and that's not cool. That's not fair. And they don't do anything about the practices of, like I said, if they're able to do those things, they're able to discriminate. I just don't think enough is doing enough. I don't think they do enough, and I don't think they have a lot of power over meeting the people with Airbnb. I think they're more busy counting their money than saying, okay, well, this is wrong, and we don't approve of this, and you're no longer going to be able to be a host. You know what I mean? But it's not just Airbnb. Airbnb is just one. I mean, there's was it ERBO or whatever?
VRBO, yeah.
VRBO, yeah, it's them, and there's a couple other ones that kind of pick up where Airbnb leaves off. But I mean, it's something that's here to stay. I mean, I know that. It's stupid to sit here and think that, oh, it's it's a fad. It's a fad. It's going to be gone. No. Because everything is shifting. I mean, especially since the pandemic, people want, more unique spaces. I'm not saying everyone's tired of hotels, but they want unique spaces. They want family under one roof, opposed to, okay, I have a growing family and I can't get 5 different rooms, and if I'm staying in a hotel. Now I can actually rent a house and do it that way. And the house could be out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it can be anywhere. So depending on what you're looking for, I mean, you can find that in Airbnb, and it's definitely has put a dent in some hotels, depending on the market, not across the board, but it just depends on the market and how much or how many, houses they're devoted to Airbnb in certain communities. But some hotels, depending on the market, depending on the dates of the year, it's definitely getting hit. They definitely feel it.
Do you feel like short-term rental is a big enough threat to put some hotels out of business, or do you feel like you said earlier, it's enough to go around?
I still think, I'm saying it now, I still think it's enough to go around because everybody doesn't want Airbnb. Just like everybody doesn't want, there's a smaller percentage that don't want hotels than that will stay in an Airbnb. I'm not sure if I said that, if I even said that right. I think there's people that will always want to stay in hotels, and then there's a younger generation that will basically, they'll see, hotel's not gonna work for me this time. I'm gonna go with Airbnb. Because there's a lot of older people, like say, I got my points, I'm invested. Right. I'm staying here because I'm getting these points. But like I said, you got this younger wave of people that are coming in, and those are the ones that are hitting the needle, turning the needle more towards Airbnb and the like. So it's here to stay. Is it going to put hotels out of business? No. If the pandemic didn't put a lot of hotels out of business, then Airbnb is not going to put a lot of hotels out of business. I mean, hotels, some did close up during the pandemic. Some of them did close. They did close up temporarily and then reopen. But there's a couple that closed and will never open again. But that building will still be a hotel. It just won't be owned by those people. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But even in the Airbnb space, because what am I trying to say? You can put your hotel room on Airbnb.
Yep, you can.
Okay. Yeah. See, so that's another booking engine. That's another GDS system. Okay. So like
GDS, what does GDS stand for?
I'm sorry. GDS stands for Global Distribution System or Service. So basically travel agents book through the GDS. So in order for the travel agent, say I'm a travel agent here, in order for me to book a hotel in Charlotte, I have to go through a system to get there. Unless I just went direct, and booked direct. But if I'm a travel agent, I have this system of the Sabre, the Apollo, or whatever that interacts with the GDS system. So in order for me to use Sabre or Apollo or WorldSpan to get to the GDS, to get to that hotel, the GDS is a third party that will allow me to go through and make the reservation there. So I have access to, I don't know, 1 million hotels worldwide kind of thing. And it's just like Expedia has the same thing. Like Expedia, if you want to use Expedia as an example, they use the same thing. So they have to use some type of system to get to the GDS. But some of these things are so big, like Expedia. Let me back up. Expedia, back in the day when they just first started, they probably use a GDS, but now they're their own GDS because they have so many hotels that want to book through them. So they're their own GDS now. So you can go to Expedia, you can probably have access to 500,000 hotels worldwide, right? Because they all want to be, in the Expedia, whatever, in their GDS, their global distribution system or service or whatever. So it's just a way to book the hotels. But I don't think Airbnb is going anywhere. I don't think Airbnb is going to put hotels out of business. I just think, there's enough to go around. It's just that different people have different needs. Okay. Business people, if you're there, the 1 to 2 nights, you're going to use a hotel. If you're going to do this, what do they call it? It's basically a mixture of business and pleasure. Bleisure, that was a term that was used before the pandemic. It's bleisure, business and leisure.
You just taught me something. I hadn't heard of that one.
Oh, see, I'm here dropping. See, I'm here dropping
Let's
some
go.
dimes.
Let's go. I hadn't heard of that one.
Okay, bleisure came out, like I said, it's a market segment. So hotels are broken down into market segments, right? So you got corporate, you got government, you have leisure, transient, and you have all the group segments too, right? So, but there was this market that came up that people didn't know where to put it because people would go, they would travel for business, but they would stay, like say you travel Thursday, let's say Monday through Thursday for business, but you stayed and didn't leave till Sunday. So the first 5 days were for business, or 4 days or whatever were for business. The last 2 or 3 days are for leisure. So you put that together and you get bleisure, right?
Okay.
So, and this came from, of course, you have to have conversations with people. You have to like, hey, why are you here? Oh, well, I'm here for business, but my family's coming in on Friday and we're going to do some things in the area. So now it's turned into a leisure vacation, right? And now bleisure is going to be bigger now, since the pandemic is over, or well, in our rear view mirror, let's just say that, still here. But because now you got people that are not, they don't have to work in one area. They don't have to, meaning they're not based in okay, I'm based in LA now. I'm still in office. I have to go back to work. I work out of that office. Well, no, a lot of people are living anywhere and they're just traveling to work, right? So you're going to get more of those people that are going to travel, and then they're going to bring their families with them, or like I said, they're just going to extend that business trip for leisure. So half is going to be business and the other half is going to be the leisure, or the leisure.
Bleisure. Hashtag bleisure. Okay. All right. So you think short-term rental is here to stay, but it's not going to put our hotels out of business. It's enough to, it's enough to go around, especially when we're looking at the different market segments, and what people are traveling for. Okay,
exactly. And you got to remember, different destinations have different, offer different things too. So just because Airbnb works in LA does not mean it's going to work in, outside of LA and Santa Barbara. You know what I mean? I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
Or say in Atlanta, or versus Charlotte or whatever. It just depends on the infrastructure of that town or that city first and foremost. Because there's some cities that don't even allow it. Like Atlanta, I use Atlanta as an example, but they stopped it. I mean, you can't like these days, I think there's maybe some homes that were grandfathered in, but now you can't go to the city of Atlanta and say, within the city limits, and say, hey, I'm going to turn this into an Airbnb. You can't do that anymore.
They're putting a lot of restrictions on.
Exactly. They have a lot of restrictions on it. And just like San Francisco has restrictions, Some other cities here in California have restrictions as well. So, but yeah, so no, there's never gonna no. I mean, it's something that's here to stay. We just have to deal with it, and that's where marketing your brand is more. It should be more on the forefront now because a lot of people have not been doing what they should be doing, and then that allows a lot of stuff to come in and take your market share. I mean, just a little bit of market share sometimes can put a hotel over. You know what I mean? Not necessarily out of business, but draw some concern there. Like, hey, what are we doing about this? We need to. We're losing market share to somebody. Who is it going to? And maybe that little 1% or whatever is going to Airbnb, but it can be a huge amount of money.
Okay. I respect that. I think you're right on. With that.
Are you sure? You don't have to agree with me.
I'm gonna share with you. So remember earlier I said, when I was a young entrepreneur, I was like thinking about streams of income. I got to do all the little things. So I did do Airbnb for a while. And so, but you're right on, I think, with saying that, it's a preference thing. So some people want that, they need the space, elbow room, maybe they want to cook. You may not be able to do that, in most hotels, things like that for longer stays, especially. So it's like either short-term rental or you go to an extended stay hotel or something are kind of the choices, right? So yep. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't have a problem disagreeing with you because, we had a conversation.
Yes. I know.
Yes, so I'll tell you. But okay, no, I feel where you're coming from. So share with me, Russell, what's next? Like, what do you see next coming up for you? I know the podcast is going strong. You're on episode 200 and something. Where are we at now?
170. Almost 200, 170.
170 something.
I think the next one will be 174. So I've done 173. Yeah.
Okay. And so what's next? Like, what do you have on your to-do list or goal for the business? What's coming up from you?
That's a good question. More, I would say more of the same. No, more of the podcast. Of course, I do put a lot of energy into that, but hotels are starting or companies are starting to loosen up more now. They're starting to do a little bit more meetings. So I'm getting a little bit more busy with that stuff, with doing the hotel site selection. So which is good because I like all of them, but that's the first thing that I started. So of course I want that to do well, and I want to make sure that I'm out there to get more business, and that's why I do a lot of the social media stuff, right? So on the forefront, it's more and much more social media presence. Because in order for me to obtain more business from, if it's the hotel site selection, if it's branding for certain hotels or any company, or the podcast, I need to have more presence. And some people may say, well, you have presence now. Well, yeah, but that's for you. That's you think I do, but there's someone out there that I haven't reached yet. So I have to continue, to do that because I have 3 different entities that I'm trying to build up. So I don't think they ever be where I want them to be, but they're definitely not there yet. So I have a long way to go. So just concentrating on what I have in front of me. And like I said, that's the podcast, the hotel site selection, and helping more companies and organizations with content creating and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you feel that you mentioned social media and it's such a powerful force? And I remember I was thinking about the other day when I first got introduced to the internet. It's a dial-up internet, box computer in the corner of my room, and figuring out the message boards and the IM chats and stuff with my friends. But to remember that point, and I can remember pre-internet, to looking at where it is now is like kind of mind-blowing to me, how powerful of a connector it is. Do you feel that hotels are given the internet and social media specifically as proper respect as far as advertising, marketing, and getting onto those platforms? Not yet.
No, and for whatever reason, we're always the last people to do embrace technology 100% of the effort or what we should be doing. And I don't know why that is. But I still have conversations with, former colleagues that, they haven't even started. They don't even have a social media strategy. That's not even part of their budget. I mean, they can go through a whole budget season, which starts at, I don't know, July or whatever, on through December or whenever they get their budget approved. But they don't have that conversation. They don't have those conversations about, hey, we need X amount of dollars for a social media budget. And if they do, they don't even know what it entails. Like, okay, you got $1,000 a month for social media. What do you do? What's the strategy behind this money? Well, I don't know what we're going to do. Well, they said we're going to do this. They said, and these people, and the scary thing about it, these people are directors of sales and marketing. Okay. But see, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I mentioned this to other people, where we put this director of sales, and that's all we want to do. Selling to us, to hotel people, for the most part, is direct selling. Like me, I'm selling to you. I'll go to a trade show. I call you on the phone. We talk about this. We talk about that. It's not marketing. It's basically direct selling to you. Okay. What happens when you're not direct selling? I mean, what are you doing? What else are you doing so people don't forget about your brand or who you represent? They're not doing much. They're not, in the marketing end, they're not doing it, because the traditional way of doing it is too expensive. And what I mean by traditional, you're talking about put in the newspaper. Does anybody read a newspaper anymore? I don't even know.
Small number. Small number.
I know I don't. And or they, put it on billboards. Right. Okay, billboards are still there, but okay, but nothing at this point beats the cost of social media. Because social media, even if you have a company doing it, it's going to be far less expensive than if you're doing those other things that I just mentioned. And you're going to know what people have seen it. You're gonna have your ROI, your return on your investment, or you're going to at least have the metrics behind it. I mean, you don't have the metrics behind how many people saw that sign and how many people that saw the sign converted into sales. Nor do you have that on the magazine, nor do you have that on the newspaper. You don't have that. So the only way that you have it, the metrics and this measurable, is through social media platforms. So they haven't, to answer your question, I know I went off on a tangent.
You did.
Because I'm a big proponent. And the funny thing is, Chef, I was not the big proponent that I am now. Say 10 years ago, I was not this big proponent of social media, because I didn't understand it either, right? I didn't understand it. Oh, it's going to take more of my time. Oh my God, this and that. But I had to catch myself. I said, well, I call myself a director of sales and marketing. Okay. So this is a marketing function. Okay. So I have to get more involved in it. And how do you get more involved in something that you don't know anything about? You have to educate yourself. Either you have to self-educate yourself, or you have to surround yourself with people that know that particular piece of the puzzle, right? So what I did was I joined this group, and I don't even remember how I even learned about it, but it's called Travel Massive. And it's a group of travel bloggers, influencers, travel journalists, and every major city has like a chapter or whatever. So I got wind of it from somebody, and I started going to these meetings. They would meet at hotels, they would meet at restaurants, bars, and everybody would talk about, depending on who you were sitting with or who your connections were with, they would share what they would do, how they would do certain things, how they would who would they talk to on the hotel side to get free rooms, things like that, because they're getting free rooms in exchange for posting things for the hotel, on behalf of the hotel. So because I always wondered, because they weren't coming to me, like, well, how are you getting to we're going through the PR company. So if your hotel's a PR company, that's who we're going through. We're circumventing the process, because it's not a sales function, it's a marketing function, right? PR is more marketing than it is sales. So it just changed my mindset. I'm like, well, let me there's something here. So let me embrace this, and let me just jump into it. I mean, head first. And I did. I jumped into it head first. I learned everything I could learn. I'm still learning. I talk to people that, in a million years in the hotel space, you never would come across. Only that they were asking for a free room and then they were asking for a free room. Hey, I'll do this in exchange for a free room. I'm like, well, that was so foreign to me. Like, no, I was just saying, no, we're not going to do that. No, I can do that. I can do that myself, not knowing that, that's when people, that's when I really showed that I was insecure about my position because these people they were doing things that I knew nothing about. And I don't like that. I don't like being in a position where I don't know what they're talking about, but they're trying to use my hotel, right? So I had that means I just had to educate myself. I need to learn more. And I did. I like I said, especially when I stopped working at the hotel level and started doing Russell of hotels, I just basically, just like I said, just indoctrinating myself with learning this, knowing some of these main influencers and things like that, what they were doing, why were they posting all the time, what do you hope to gain, and all this kind of stuff. So I learned that, and now I go and I try to teach other directors of sales and marketing that. Some of them want to hear it, some of them don't. So going back to answer your question, I know I go a whole circle around your question, but
it's good stuff. We good.
But yeah, it's not embraced thoroughly by hotels like it should be. You'll see more on the luxury end. So you're talking your 4 and 5 diamond hotels. They will have more of a presence on social media than say your 3 diamond hotels, middle of the road. And there's more of those than the luxury hotels. Most hotels are, 3 diamond hotels. Your Marriott, your Hiltons, just your regular standard, the Hiltons and Marriott, Courtyards, whatever. Those are all 3 diamond hotels. So you got more of them than you do of the luxury. But the luxury, because they have PR companies they deal with, they know more of the social media aspect and what it can do than the other hotels do. So I try to concentrate because I don't come from the luxury hotel collection. That's not where my career was. My career was in the 3 diamond hotels. So of course that's what I'm going to help. That's my sweet spot. So that's what I'm trying to help. And the hotels I try to help are on that line. Okay. So I know where I come from and I know where I can help. So that's what I try to do.
So what's the differentiator between a 3-star and a super luxury? Is it amenities, service, or like what are the things that set them apart?
It's mostly the service. The service levels of what they offer. Do they offer 24-hour room service? Do they offer valet or 24-hour valet? So valet, room service, what do you call it, a spa, stuff like that. Those kind of would differentiate you from them. But the hours of operation would be too. Like, do they still have room service? A lot of hotels don't even have room service, but the ones that do are the higher end properties. Because they know that the luxury customer is not going to go for no room service. I'm not going to go. Why do I go to this place? That's one of the things I enjoy is room service. So for the luxury hotels, they haven't stopped it. But for your middle of the road, like I said, your full service Marriotts, whatever, a lot of them have stopped it and they just opted to, do whatever DoorDash or whatever. And a lot of ghost kitchens are popping up around hotels now where one building, 5 different kitchens, and 5 different types of food can come out of one building now. So, and that's great if all the hotels in the area are 3 diamond hotels and they don't have food and beverage operations. That's great because now this ghost kitchen could service those particular customers, and you don't have to do room service anymore. These ghost kitchens will do delivery service. They won't deliver to your room because they can't get up on the floors. But you can just go down in the lobby and pick up your stuff. So that's what's going on. That's a big trend that's going on now that I see. Started in New York, and now it's making its way to LA. So LA, New York and LA would probably be, those are the test cities, if you will. And then it's going to spread everywhere.
They kind of set the pace for everybody else. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's been the last 3 to 6 months. This stuff has been happening. So you look for more of that happening, ghost kitchens popping up, and hotels getting rid of their food and beverage operations altogether.
It's interesting. And I wonder, it's just my inner dialogue. And I'm wondering that it seems like that would take some of the liability off them too, of handling the food, and then, less overhead with Labor
That's it.
costs.
It's the labor cost. That's
Yeah.
the big thing. That's the big
Yeah.
thing. So now I don't have
Okay.
to worry about that. I don't have to worry about the food and beverage because
Hmm.
food and beverage is an expense.
Oh yeah.
It ain't necessarily an amenity. It's an expense,
Hmm.
and it
Hmm.
comes with a lot of a lot of waste and
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff, and definitely a
Hmm.
lot of hours, a lot of labor hours. So if you can cut that
Hmm.
out, or at least maybe minimize it, yeah, hotels are looking for that because they want that money to go to the bottom line. So,
Right.
and owners are starting to see that. GMs are starting to see it. Owners are starting to see, hey,
Hmm.
maybe there's something. This pandemic wasn't a good thing, but we were starting to learn some things that how
Right.
we can run an efficient, more a more efficient hotel.
Okay. Okay. I just have one last question for you, and we're technically over time, so I'm gonna make it quick. I want to be respectful of your time, but this question I always ask this because, as you know, I am a teacher and I work with a lot of young people, and so I always ask pros when I come in contact with them. If a young person came to you and said they had aspirations of doing something that you're either currently doing or done in your past, they want to be a high level professional or executive in the hotel space. Maybe they want to be a GM. Maybe they want to be a director of sales and marketing. Maybe they want to consult. If you had to just condense it down to like the first 3 steps you would share with them, like, hey, this is what you want to do. Here's where you start. Here's the first few things you should do to even get to that end goal. What would you tell that? What would you tell that young person?
That's wow. And my answer may be a little long, okay, but I'm gonna get there. But these days, and I keep saying this on my podcast or on the lives that I do, is that no two people came in the industry the same way. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to school, but there's a lot of people that didn't go to school. A lot of people just
Mm-hmm.
started as a summer job. I talk to people all the time. I was a cocktail server at the pool and or I worked in the maintenance department. I used to clean rooms or whatever. I was a bellman. I started off as a dishwasher in the restaurant. So everyone has their own story, but those same people that I mentioned, they're either directors of sales or general managers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so my thing is, what do you want to do? I guess I would have to see exactly. So they want to look at it as a viable, because what I want to do is convince people that being in the hospitality industry is a viable career option for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would say basically, hey, what do you like to do? The front desk would kind of expose you to a lot of different things, because that's the kind of the nerve center of a hotel. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
comes to the front desk. Everyone has to come to the front desk for something.
Mm-hmm.
Even the guests, the employees have to come there for something. So I would always tell people, start the front desk, start off as a clerk, and see how you like it. And then
Right.
because there's going to be other opportunities that open the door. So no matter whatever door you came in, if it's the front door, the side door, or the back door, there's opportunities to move up. But you got to come in and you got to bust your hump. You just can't come in there thinking people are going to give you anything.
Right.
And I
Right.
hate to say that, this generation, they want, they want to start at the top, Well, in the hospitality space, you can't start at the top because you got to know everything that you got
Mm-hmm.
to know everything about everything. If you didn't go
Mm-hmm.
to college, because they'll weed you out, right? So there's a pecking order, if you will. If you went to college, then maybe you have a little bit over someone else that didn't go. Okay, I don't know why they do that. I don't make the rules, but that's how it works, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you come in any way you can get in. If, like I said, if it was as a cocktail server, because like I said, there's going to be opportunities everywhere because people are going to move. Hospitality industry is one of those positions or one of those industries where people move around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to 14 different hotels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my career, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people have done a lot less, some people have done more. I met this guy that said he did 30 hotels. I'm like, damn, I thought
Wow.
14 was a lot, but he said, I did 30. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, you win. So it
Right.
just depends. It just depends. So there's not a step. The only thing I would say is just make it happen. Just, okay, if it's a front office front office clerk position that's open, take it. Learn everything you can because you can take that and go to any other hotel, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
take that to any other hotel if you have guest experience because you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people more at the front desk than you're dealing with any other department. because, like I said, it's the nervous system of the hotel where if there's issues in the restaurant, they're going to come to the front desk. If there's issues in the parking lot, issues in your room, they're going to come and voice their concern or their issues to the front desk. And if you can deal with all that stuff, you can deal with a lot of different stuff that comes up. So within that, the front office, you got, a supervisor, you have a manager, you got then you go to reservations, you got revenue management, you got, PBX operator. You have all those things within that front desk area. Then from there, if you wanted to go into HR, they had the position open, you can do that. If you want to go into food and beverage, you can start learning that. And if you have an opportunity to cross train, then you become more valuable, right? So now I work at the front desk, but I'm also a server in the restaurant. So maybe I want to, now I can go either way. Now I can go, maybe I want to be a restaurant manager, or maybe I want to be a front office manager, whatever. But you've learned both of those. You have, experience in both areas or both departments. So I'm just saying, learn as much as you can, no matter how you get in, no matter where you go, learn as much as you can, and then go from there. Because a lot of people it wasn't by design that they went to work at a hotel. They went for a job, just a job, and it turned into be a career that they can't get out of. You know what I mean? And they don't want to get out of. I mean, because it's that rewarding. I mean, although I went to school and started my career with Marriott 100 years ago, I mean, it was the best choice I made. I've seen the world because of the hotel industry. So the hotel industry owes me nothing, okay? Because I learned everything I know today. It came from the hotel industry. It didn't come from college. I'll just tell you that. It didn't come from college. Because they didn't teach me how to deal with guests at college. There's no real life stuff. That's all, it's all theory, okay? It's all book stuff. No, they didn't teach you that sometimes these employees can go off on you, okay? They didn't tell you that. You get threatened. They didn't tell you all that. They may tell you to scratch the surface on certain things, but as far as selling, no, I learned that on the job training. As far as being a general manager, I learned that on the job. Dealing with guest concerns or employees that blow up at you, I learned that all on the job. So if you can deal with that stuff, you can be a good hospitality professional.
Okay. That's good stuff. Get in the door. You said front door, side door, back door. Just get in there.
Just
get your position.
Just get in.
Cross train if you can. Work hard. Learn as much as you can and work hard. That's good advice. Yes. So,
and I'm always here to answer questions. I'm always here for young people that want to come up in the industry and don't understand certain things. I'm a resource. So, I mean, please feel free to reach out to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And so no quiet quitting then. That don't go hand in hand with have you heard about that quiet quitting phenomena happening?
What is that?
Man, look it up, man. It's I have to look more.
Quitting?
Man, so it's people are kind of doing a silent protest. It's kind of a silent protest at their job. Like after a certain time, like if they work a 9 to 5, after 5, I'm not doing anything else. I'm shut down. I'm done. I'm not. It's so many different things going on with it. I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't really dug into it, but I heard a few people talk about it here and there, and I was like, what is this? What's happening here? Just work. People don't want to work.
Quiet quitting. That is funny. I've never heard of that, but I'm gonna look that up.
Now that I said something, watch, you're gonna be like, oh, there it is. Let's go pop up. I'm like, either work or quit. I don't know. Quiet quitting, no. Either get in, do the work, or just quit. Find something else that you like to do. But anyway, I appreciate you so much. I'm gonna let you take us out by telling people how to reach out to you if they need your services or if they want to come listen to the podcast. What they can do to get in touch with you, okay?
Of course. Well, you can reach me on every social media platform at Russell of Hotels. That's Russell of OF Hotels. I'm on LinkedIn. You can message me. I'm on Instagram at Russell of Hotels. I'm on YouTube, Russell of Hotels. LinkedIn is Russell of Hotels and Russell Edmond, Edmond. Or you can go to my website, russellofhotels.com, and you can find all my information. My phone number's there and my email. And the email is russell@russellofhotels.com. And feel free. I mean, I always give this out. I mean, I'm a resource to anyone in the hospitality space. If you just have any questions, I'm here to help. So feel free.
Boom, there it is. Appreciate you came and dropped some gems about how to get in, how to make things happen in the hospitality, specifically hotel industry, your feelings on short-term rental. We covered a lot of stuff. We covered a lot of stuff today. I didn't go to the non-meats today, but
Well, hey, I was ready for you too. I was ready for you
I
too.
thought about it. I was like, we'll be on there for 2 hours. And we go. I thought about it, but listen, I appreciate your time so much. And I might
More
have
than
to see if
welcome.
I can
Thank you.
sneak back on your calendar and sneak in there and see if I can get you maybe on a Zoom to one of my classes. I'm gonna see if anybody is
Of
interested in the
course.
hotel space. Because I tend to focus. I find myself like tending to focus more on culinary arts, but if the class is culinary arts and hospitality, which includes hotels, tourism, a bunch of stuff, right? And so that might be a cool. See if I can
Yeah.
sneak back on your calendar. So,
I'm here
uh,
to help. I know a
all
little bit
right.
about food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen,
More than
thank y'all
welcome,
for
sir.
tuning in to Hospitality Hacks Pro. We'll see you next time.